Good evening, one and all present here. Today, we all are gathered here for the interview of an esteemed advisor of the World Teen Parliament 2021, Professor Dr. Sandeep Sancheti. Professor Dr. Sandeep Sancheti is Provost, Marwadi University, Rajkot, Member Executive Council, Association of Commonwealth Universities, London, former Vice Chancellor of SRM IST Chennai, former President Manipal University Jaipur, former Director NITK Surathkal, NIT Delhi, and NIT Goa, former in charge Director NIT Trichy, NIT Calicut, and SPA Delhi, former President Association of Indian Universities, New Delhi, India. With a proven track record of building some of the finest academic institutions across India, Dr. Sancheti has more than 35 years of experience in the field of teaching, research, and academic administration. He holds a PhD from the Queen's University of Belfast in the United Kingdom. Noted educationist and thinker, Dr. Sancheti has driven the vision of several institutions of national importance. He has also been at the helm of matters as the Director, NITK Surathkal, Director, NIT New Delhi, Director in charge, NIT Tiruchirappalli, NIT Calicut, School of Planning and Architecture, Delhi, and Mentor Director, NIT Goa, NIT Puducherry, and NIT Sikkim. Dr. Sancheti is actively involved in policy making and advisory roles and is a member of Court and Council of IISc Bangalore. He has also worked as a principal coordinator of QIP Poly program of AICTE in 2005, chairman of NIMCET and All India MCA Entrance Test in 2008, chairman of Central Counseling Board 2011, chairman and direct admission of students abroad from 2010 to 12 schemes of MHRD under the Government of India. He has received numerous scholarships and fellowships and has contributed as a member of the Microsoft India Academic Advisory Board, member of Kakurdakar Committee for Review of NITs, member on Distance Education Council, and a member of several other UGC, AICTE, NAAC committees, planning boards, and professional bodies. Welcome, sir. Shall we start with the interview?
Sure, Gurjas, I'm ready. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, sir. Thank you for joining us today. I am Gurjas Singh Chadda, a student of Standard 9th from Mayur School, Noida, Uttar Pradesh, and Member of Parliament of the World Teen Parliament. My first question to you today is kindly introduce yourself to a teenager so that it encourages him to watch this interview further.
Fine. Good evening and greetings to everyone. I think my professional introduction has been given already, that what I have done or where I have worked or whatever role I have played. So I'd simply like to introduce you that I'm a technocrat by my qualification, an engineer. But later when I came into the profession of teaching, I became a teacher. Later, when I did my PhD, I became a doctor, though not necessarily medical doctor. Later, when I got promoted, I became a professor. And then further going up the channel, I became a director or a vice chancellor. So these are some of the different roles I played in different capacities. And while discharging my duties as a teacher and an academician and administrator and researcher and various other things enabler, life has changed a lot and I've learned a lot. And obviously, the background of education from a good institution and a diverse education helped me do discharge my duties. And so that's what I am today because of my education, because of my friends, colleagues, and seniors and others who have collaborated with me or guided me. And I'm an avid sports lover. I played squash for a long time in my life. I'm also in love with bridge, the cards game, the only game where Olympiads happen for that. And I've been playing that game from 9th standard. When I was in 9th standard, like some of you, early 70s. And then I played nationals and internationals also for bridge. So I'm married, of course, and I have my two sons. Both of them are engineers like me, and one is settled in UK and another is settled in US. And I'm third generation engineer. My grandfather was engineer from Roorkee, 1935. My father, 1959. I'm 1982. And then my elder son, 2009, and younger one, 2017. So that's all about me. Gurjas, I hope that's sufficient.
Sure, sir.
Thank you.
Good evening, sir. Thank you for joining us. I'm Alia Shamir, an 8th grader studying at Siddhartha Central School, Parliament from Kerala, and also a member of Parliament,
Very nice.
World Teen Parliament. My question for you is, our community often have a perspective that MBBS, engineering, or civil service are the only career choices. What do you think about this?
I think in the current context or in the today's world, if you are on a single track of what you call engineering or MBA or civil services, I would say not an able choice, not necessarily a right decision. While I agree that an engineering qualification may be above average, better than some of the other qualifications, an engineer can be slightly more abled when it comes to other discipline in terms of their IT knowledge and also their analytical knowledge or logical skills or whatever. But that's not the end of the road. Today, all the professions can lead you to the top. All the disciplines can lead you to the top. You may be highly educated in any discipline. You can do well there, you can make a niche for yourself, you can make a mark for yourself, and you can reach the top, whether you are from medical profession or a chartered accountancy profession, or a profession which can be sports, or it can be even politics or leadership, if I may say so. We know the examples of our current Prime Minister or various others that education of what you call engineering or something is not necessarily essential. I would say that if I were born again and if I were a young person like some of you, I would have really done my majors or keen interest in sports, because sports is possibly one of the quickest, fastest route for success and name and fame also. If I were like a Sachin Tendulkar, I would have earned a lot of name, I would have earned a lot of money, and possibly I would have earned a Bharat Ratna at a very young age, because there is no one younger than him who has earned a Bharat Ratna, I believe. Okay, so what I'm saying is sports or Bollywood or films, singing can really make you to a huge success in no time. So today, if some of you have dreamed to become engineers, you probably will know computer science, electronics, mechanical, civil, electrical. But I would say that go a non-traditional way. Fashion technology can be an engineering. Fire technology can be an engineering. Food technology can be an engineering and technology. Materials technology, the various other things on nano and all that. The point I'm trying to say is the conventional things are going out of place. The unconventional things are there. If you are a dietitian, an expert, possibly you will be helping all Indian players to control their diet and be more fit. If you are a physiotherapist, you will possibly be helping when they face injuries and rehabilitation happens. Okay, there are endless opportunities. If you are a nurse, I would say a medical nurse, you'll probably be treating many corona patients who will be obliged for you for their life because you'll be helping them. The point is anything or everything is important based on your wish. To conclude my answer for your question, I would say that way back in 1994, I was in UK doing my PhD. In England, I was doing my PhD. And I watched a television program where some competition was there. a young girl like you, maybe slightly senior to you, maybe by a year or two in 12th standard. And she was asked that by the anchor that since she had won, so anchor interviewed her and anchor asked her, what would you like to become in your life? What is your ambition? Now the answer she has given cannot be imagined by you. That answer was unique, and that sums up my answer for your question. And that is, she said, I want to become a heavy duty truck driver. That was the answer given by that girl at that time for this kind of a question. So what I'm trying to tell you is everything is important, whether you are like a needle or you are like a sword. Both have their importance. Both of them play their role. And each of these disciplines will be important. Do whatever your heart says, study whatever you want to do, be more creative, be more energetic, enjoy your studies. And for some reason, later, if you don't like, change it. Reason being, it's going to be a lifelong learning in this age. And the new education policy allows you to change the direction. You may take admission in first year in, let's say, in engineering. You don't like. Second year, you can go to BBA and still carry a lot of engineering courses. Third year, you may go to BA economics or whatever, if you so like. You may still carry a lot of your old courses and still get a degree in 3 years' time, which may be slightly generic degree. It may be Bachelor of Liberal Education rather than BA economics. So those options are there. And therefore, don't be trapped by that my peer group says, my father says, my neighbor says, my friend says that you go to engineering and therefore you go to engineering or civil services. That's not necessarily the best thing to do in current context. I hope, Alia, I have answered your question. Is that fine?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Is there a counter question?
No, sir.
Okay, no problems, please. Yeah. Thank you.
Good evening, sir. Thank you for joining us today. I am Kirtana Vasudevan of class 9 from Sri Sri Ravi Shankar Vidya Mandir, Mulund, Mumbai, Maharashtra. And I am a member of Parliament of the World Teen Parliament representing teenagers all over the world. Here goes my question to you. How do you think that the new educational policy, which has recently been launched, will be beneficial to the students?
Okay. Thank you, Kirtana, and thank you for this question. I deliberate a lot on NEP, and fortunately, I've been a part of a team or leader, maybe in certain cases, to develop certain schemes for NEP. So I do not know how long can this answer be, because I can speak for hours on that, but I'll try to keep it for 5 minutes. Okay, so for me, number one, NEP is a document of dreams. And when we look at our future, why should we not have dreams? You have dreams that you will become big, you will lead the country, you will be well recognized in society. So every dream should be big, like NEP is also dreaming big. All right. So that is number one. Number two, NEP is a policy which is very well researched, documented, and discussed with the stakeholders. So after that policy was made, it was made public as a draft document. And then more than 2 lakh people responded to that policy document, giving their inputs and advices. I was also one of them who might have given 2-3 advices indirectly. All right. And those were absorbed before finalizing the policy document. The draft document was pretty long. And when the final document came, if you read Hindi or English version, they are 30 odd pages. So they are very shortened version, crisp version, telegraphic version, which are there. So it's well researched and well documented and well discussed. That is number two, I would say. Number three, it covers all major aspects from what you call KG to PG, starting from the lowest level of education, typically school education, to the highest level of education, PG, and we sometimes put even doctoral degree as PG. All right, so KG to PG is what it basically covers. That means there is a seamless connectivity between school education and the higher education, which was missing in the previous documents or whatever you can say. The fourth thing can be this policy comes after a gap of almost 34 years. And if not 34 years, 28 years, because 1992, we had the small revision of the previous policy, which was there in 1986. So it came after a gap of 34 years in 2020. So obviously, today's world is moving fast. The knowledge is growing fast. It is said it is doubling almost every day or every 12 hours kind of a thing. So in this age of knowledge, we could not have afforded that we go with the stale policies and a stale framework. And therefore, policy was much needed. But more than anything else, this policy works on the existing principles of what you call access, equity, transparency, accountability, and quality. These principles have been carried forward from the previous versions in terms of the feature of the policy that we should keep looking after this, because India is a very diverse country. So access is required. Equity is required. Some of the people are good, but they possibly cannot afford. So equity is required. Quality needs to be improved constantly. And we need to bring more transparency in what we teach, how we teach, and therefore accountability in all these aspects are there. But policy possibly did not focus much on what we call efficiency, that we need to work with a lot of higher efficiency, then speed, that we need to take decisions faster and act faster and deliver faster, and then diversity, that we need to have much more diversity in our education. These are slightly limited aspects, but diversity has been added. The document of NEP talks about highly about what you call multidisciplinary education. And if you look at the document and you search the document, you'll find multidisciplinary word appears 76 times in the NEP English version of document. And not only that multidisciplinary, they say large multidisciplinary. Not only they say multidisciplinary, they say holistically multidisciplinary. Like that they say. So what they want to do is, and this also answers partly the first question, which was probably raised by, I think, Alia, that can the education be engineering and all that. Multidisciplinary means basically you can take education of whatever nature you want. So ultimately, keeping that in mind, what they have done is the education will be highly student-centric. I hope you understand what is student-centric. Student-centric basically means that rather than we teaching you what we want to teach as teachers, you will decide as students that what you want to learn and learn that. All right? It's what you do. Not everything what your mom and dad gives you as food is what you eat. Not everything which they suggest that you wear is what you wear. I think the same rule will come in teaching, that not everything what we say as teachers will be taught to you or you will learn that. So there'll be a higher degree of freedom when it comes to teaching, learning for all of you. That is how it will improve. It will become teacher-centric. You can mix and match. You can go fast and slow. You can take a break and then again continue. And therefore, there is a scheme called, two schemes are very popular for student centricity. One is called Academic Bank of Credit. So you can earn credits. You can earn credits from international institutions, Indian institutions, IIT, other local institutions. Keep putting in your bank called Academic Bank of Credit. You can keep them as credit like you keep money. But if you want to encash credit, you can get a degree out of this, diploma out of this, like you do with the money, that I take out my money and I can buy a device, computer or mobile or whatever I want, see cinema or whatever I want, eat food. I can use money to convert into something. Same way you can convert credit into something, or you can keep the credit as credit. That's the bigger scheme which is there. It gives you almost a high degree of freedom in everything which you may need. The second thing is called as a multiple entry, multiple exit, which is again good, that if some student has taken admission, for some reason, something happened in the family or business or service, and they cannot afford the education, that student can then withdraw from the education for time being, go for a job, support his or her family, and then again come back to education after 2-3 years and continue with the same education if they wish. This is called multiple entry, multiple exit kind of a policy. All right, you can enter anytime, you can leave anytime. That means education will be more freewheeling. You will not be like you have to be between 18 to 21 to enter into college. So there are many, many such avenues. I'll end my answer for your question, Kirtana, with only two more things. One thing is, till now, in India, what we call GER, gross enrollment ratio, I do not know if some of you know that or not, number of students or percentage of students who qualify 12th standard and then end up going to college education is what we defines the GER. Percentage of students from 12th qualification to college education is what we define as GER. That is hovering around 27% now, which has happened in 74 years of our independence, or 75 we are about to reach now. All right. At 75 years, we have taken to reach 27%. But now government and NEP is ambitious that the 50% will be reached in next 15 years. What you have done as 27% in 5 years will be almost doubled in next 15 years. So we are going to be higher speed in terms of our functioning. That's one change. That means more and more students will have opportunity for college education. The second important thing is we have a large infrastructure or college setup which is affiliated. And affiliated setups only conduct the examinations and don't do much of research, innovation, or autonomous in terms of teaching, learning, or student centricity. And that's because they have to award the degree from the same university from which they are affiliated. And to avoid that affiliation mechanism, which is followed in India and some of the South Asian countries, which is not a good model, government has come out with a scheme that rather than 1,000 institutions giving degrees right now, by next 10 years or at the most 15 years, we will have 10,000 institutions who will be giving degrees. So these are many fundamental changes. There are many other changes, like there'll be a dedicated research kind of a drive through National Research Foundation. There'll be a dedicated technologies used in education through NTEF, and there'll be less regulatory through a body called HESI, and like that. So NEP is a dream document. NEP can redefine the education of Indian setup. NEP obviously would be improving the country's performance for next 10 to 15 years, before which we have the next version of the NEP. So that's my answer, but if you wish, I can go on and on and on for this particular question. Thank you, Kirtana.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, sir. I am Dheer Mehta from Shri Shri Ravi Shankar Vidya Mandir, Mulund, Mumbai, Maharashtra. I am a student of class 9th and I am a member of parliament of the Maltese Parliament. So I have a question that India has so many renowned institutes, but why do Indian students prefer to study abroad?
Fine. There can be many reasons, Dheer, for this. It's not necessary that only good institutions would suffice. Sometimes we need good exposure also, international exposure, because the world is shrinking. World is a small village now, all right? And we need to work, let's say in USA or in Europe or in Australia or in India, and therefore people need exposure. That's one reason. Also, you find that some of them are advanced countries where our students go to, and there they get high degree of freedom for education, whereas in India it is not so. So for that reason also they sometimes choose it. Other reasons obviously is I perceive, in my perception, Indian education is generally very good, very competitive, and very deep in fundamentals and other things. Sometimes we lack practice element of it, or skill element of it, and therefore, once again, there may be some advantage for people going outside. Another aspect is our undergraduate level of education is very high, competitive. And I generally advise all my friends, relatives who seek my advice that do your undergrad from here. Compulsorily, this is my advice. But when it comes to postgraduate education, I would not say the same thing, because I find in postgraduate education, you need a lot of research backing. And in Indian education system, research was not very heavy, but for very, very few institutions. And therefore, PG would be incomplete without research. And Indian research is still in infancy, is growing, is getting developed. We need to invest a lot. We need to make models, whatever you can say, to promote research. And therefore, our PG is not as powerful as it should be. This is a fact. You talk to other academicians, most of them will agree to that. And therefore, large number of our students go for PG education outside. After they do IIT or some education here, wherever, they very easily migrate because they are well accepted in the global market for higher education. And that's why they go. And then, of course, many of them go outside for the simple reason that many of them want to settle outside, because the job opportunities or better job opportunities or jobs in MNCs are there. And many of you have dreams that I want to work in this company, that company. I want to be in a rocket and go to space. So maybe there are more opportunities there. And that is the reason why you may find that Kalpana Chawla's and Sunita Williams have found those opportunities there much easily. And if they were here, probably they would not have found. Not necessarily that they were from top-notch institutions, but they found a top-notch place for themselves when they were abroad. So many of us go there. I've also gone for my PhD there. I've done it as a Commonwealth scholar from UK. You'll find a lot of leaders in the country, political and otherwise, in scientific domain and civil services and everything, that they've gone to abroad for higher studies or exposure or better learning and better modeling of what they want to do. And therefore, world is very diverse. I would say that all of us do it, whether it's a small thing or a big thing, we should do it. And that is going to be advantageous to the country. As long as you learn from there, you come back and deliver something, you remain connected with your motherland, you help the motherland. I think that will be a win-win situation for all of us. So I'm not averse to going outside, but I'm not a blind follower either for going outside India. But in certain cases, certain disciplines, certain specializations, those choices are not available in India, then people tend to go outside much more easily. For example, sports management, sports psychology, those are very highly rewarding careers today if one can have. Maybe there are not enough courses in India, or not enough capacity if courses are there. And that's why people dwell into doing something from the outside world. I hope this is sufficient, Dheer. Do you have any additional point to be asked on this?
No, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
So my next question for you is, do you think that the technology has replaced the reading habits?
Reading habits is the question you are asking me.
Yes, sir.
No, technology cannot remove reading habits. The reading habits will have to be removed by us only. Technology can only change certain things. Technology, when it comes to your kitchen, it changes the cooking style and heating and everything, whatever is required, cooling and all that. Technology, when it comes in, it changes your transportation. It used to be earlier, maybe mobiles and two-wheelers in India, then became four-wheelers and now become electrical vehicles. And then who knows, very soon you'll have drones taking you from one place to another place. If they can carry your weight, they will take you like that. So technology changes everything. Technology has changed the world for last 200 years. Maybe Europe was powerful like UK and Portugal and Spain. They ruled the world. Then possibly you can say the Germans were also there. Japan came in between, and then USA became powerful, Russia became powerful, and then once again, Japan became powerful, and then you have seen the Koreans and others doing very well. Now the Chinese doing very well in overall terms, and hopefully India will also do it. And this wave will keep carrying on, and it will go to Africa also, in my opinion, that they will do very well. So the social, the political, the geographical, the financial world keeps changing with the technology. Today, we don't go and queue up in the bank. Ask your dad some time back that how many times he used to go to bank to withdraw money and deposit money and check. But today you do it online. So technology changes everything and it will keep changing. So why shouldn't it change the educational habits also? Why shouldn't it change the entertainment habits also? These are the two places where you learn to listen, either when you are in class or when you are getting entertained in picture or drama or music or whatever it is. So yes, learning habits will change because someone may have a little learning disability. And therefore, rather than seeing and reading it and maybe poor in something, they may read it. But I will say that these technologies will help you. That why should I write examination? I should speak in examination. Why should I sit in examination? I should stand and deliver examination. So when I'm speaking in my examination, my teacher can listen to my answer and mark me accordingly. All right. And my signature cannot be copied and no one can change it easily and all that, everything can be done. So speaking and listening has a huge power. And therefore, if we are using this feature nicely in our education based on our choices, fine. Some of you would like to sleep on your bed and read. Some of you will sit on your chair and read. Someone will need a proper setup of what you call table and chair, and then only you can do. And some of you will need the company of your friends to do it. But different minds, different people, different habits. And therefore, you can say technology can assist in whatever way you want. Technology is not forcing that you always listen to me while I'm speaking. Technology can say that you can feel it, you can see it, you can demonstrate it. Let me tell you, technology can help you to feel it also. Rather than going to a temple and seeing the idol of the temple, you can see it through a time machine, through a concept of what you call technology, and you can recreate that temple and do the puja if you want there. You can recreate the Darbar of Akbar Badshah today and still sit in the hall and see how the proceedings are going. You can recreate the war of Plasi or Haldi Ghati and see how people fought. So technology can assist you in every feature of that. It is called as a virtual reality or time machine concept, if I'm not wrong. And probably by the time you come to college, you'll find lots and lots of applications helping you with that. So that's the power of technology. Speech or video or audio, nothing is in isolation. It is based on the learner's choice. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good evening, sir.
Good
Thank you
evening.
for joining us today. My name is Aditya Naik of Class 9, Air Force School, Hebbal, Bangalore, Karnataka, and
Right.
Member of Parliament of the World Teen Parliament. So my question for you is, how important is critical thinking for teens?
Okay. I'm not a qualified person to say how important it is, but the world is saying that. Everyone who needs an employee today, and they're looking at the attributes of the potential employee or graduate who will be an employee, they define few important parameters or skills, and the critical thinking comes almost on the top. And for quite some time, not recent time. Why? Because today's, you can say, era is of knowledge. Knowledge cannot remain stale for long, as I was telling you that it's changing very, very fast-paced 12 hours. So if you cannot think, you cannot generate the knowledge. And if you cannot generate the knowledge, you cannot keep the pace of changes and help your company or whatever. So remember that long time back, we had this concept of what you call data was important, which is even important right now. And then from that came out the information. And then from that came out intelligence. From that came out knowledge. Okay, knowledge means I can foresee what is going to come, the flood is going to happen. I have knowledge based on some unique characteristics and happenings in the world and so on and so forth. Intelligence is just deriving what has happened, past kind of a thing, not necessarily too much of futuristic. It can take an instantaneous decision, which is intelligent. Then so data, information, lot of data makes information, lot of information allows you to draw intelligence, and a lot of intelligence will probably allow you with artificial intelligence, the knowledge of the future. You can foresee something like telepathy. And then please see the next two steps possibly would be, you can say that relevance. Is that knowledge going to be relevant for the world or for me? Is it going to be useful? And then the next thing is going to be, even if it is useful, is it making an impact? So these are the higher degrees of what I started with data. And to do that, it is relevant, it is impactful, I think I need to do a lot of critical thinking, a lot of critical applications, a lot of criticality in connecting the world of engineering or technology with medical or defense or society, and then only I can achieve that. So I hope you understand why critical thinking is important. There are many other parameters. If you see, search for the top 10 skills which Indian industry or NESCOM wants, they will have a different list. If you see somewhere in some other association, it will be different. US will be different. But in most of them, critical thinking will appear in top 3. Critical thinking is thinking out of box. That leads to innovation. Innovation, possibly bigger innovation, can lead to invention. And both of them can then lead to new companies, new products, new processes, new services. And those can then lead you to good positioning like Olas and Oyos and delivery and things like that. What you possibly see are nothing but innovative products which are there, innovative services which are there. And so is the case with many, many other examples which you keep seeing. So for doing innovation, for doing research, or to develop ability of research, I think you need to have critical thinking. One last thing is, knowledge is not about knowledge accumulation. Ikhatta karna nahi. Knowledge is not about knowledge accumulation. Knowledge is also about knowledge delivery. Knowledge is also about knowledge assimilation. Knowledge is also about knowledge distribution or dissemination. These things you know, and that happens in the class. Your teacher comes, he collects a lot of materials and delivers to you. Same is the internet doing or Google doing, let's say, that it accumulates a lot of things on a topic. When you hit the topic, it delivers that to you. But then we need to do a lot of knowledge generation also. New knowledge has to be generated, research-based, and that's where critical thinking becomes important. So you as a student should be research-based. We as a teacher should be research-based. Your universities and my university and industry should also be research-based. And for all that, we need critical thinking. I hope I'm clear. Is that fine, Aditya?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I'm ready for more if you have something more. Gurjas, you are on mute right now, my dear, but looks like...
Sorry, sir. I just wanted to say that we roughly have 10 more questions for you. So I just wanted to ask, shall we go ahead or should we skip a few questions? Because
it's up to you.
Retiring day.
It is up to you, my dear.
So we are ready for all the questions in the world. It will be...
So am I.
Yes.
All right. If you are ready, why should I back out?
Sure, sir. Okay. So so the next question is, you being a technocrat yourself, according to you, what are the essential skills that must be learned by the present generation or students before they pass the school level?
Okay, I'm not qualified, but just for telling you what you should learn before you pass out at the school level, because I don't work in that domain. But I will give a short answer to your question this time, that there are many skills which people seek and want. One of them should be communication skill. Okay, one of the skill can be that you can do multitasking. Simultaneously, you can handle various jobs. You should not be under pressure. Oh, what do I do? Exams have come. Now I cannot play. When exams are there, you should play. Okay, when you are playing and exams are there and still a guest comes at home, you should become a host. You should be able to do that. Because life is not only examination. Life is to do many things. You should be able to watch a movie if you want to be freshening up your mind. So multitasking is what you should have in addition to communication skills. The third thing possibly I would say is the skill is taking decisions on your own. Many of us as a young student think that, oh, my parents will tell me, my friend will tell me, my brother will tell me. They would not know you inside out very well. And once they take decision for you, it may backfire after a few years. So that's not good. You should be taking your call at least after 12th, that what you want to do in your life, you should be able to take a call. That capabilities you should have. You may ask many questions to me or your father, mother, friends, relatives, whatever. Keep accumulating all that. And based on that, you derive what should be my final call rather than someone else deciding the fate of you. So that's not good. All right. So that ability also you need from the school when you're graduating from the school. Also make sure that you have lots and lots of friends with whom you can share and care for each other, because life gets tougher as you go along and go up, and you should have close friends with whom you can share your happiness and failures alike and relieve yourself from that. When you are doing good and sharing with friends, they can rely on you. When you are failing and you're sharing your offloading your problems to others, and therefore friends are very, very important. Make sure that you continue to maintain relationship with school friends. However, I'll make the answer short by giving you one last answer. And the biggest thing which I want in anyone, whether you're leaving school or leaving college or leaving a job, is one element. And that element is what I call learnability. You should have a clear understanding of how to learn, unlearn, and relearn. As you move along, some of your learnings will have to change. All right, the world changes. The technology makes a changes. When I became a young guy, I knew that all banking operations were required to be in the bank. But today, nothing is required to be in the bank. All right. Earlier, everything was emphasized with teaching in the classroom. The teacher teaches everything and everything happens. Today, it is very different. It has to be learner-centric. Everything has to be learned, not necessarily taught like that. So there are many, many changes which are 180-degree phase shifted because of the time, you can say. When I was a young teacher, our emphasis was cover the course. The moment I go in my first class, I'll say this is the first topic I'm teaching today, and then 40 hours or 50 hours later, I'll complete the course. So I used to cover the course. Now the philosophy is uncover the course, that why am I teaching that course? What is the potential of the course? Where is that course going to be applied to? So philosophies keep changing. So to match your skills with the changing philosophies, you need to develop that ability of what I call learnability. So if you have developed the ability of learnability, you will succeed in your life at any age, in any place, in any job. A lot of people tell you that jobs will keep changing because of IT and computers and robotics and machine learning and data mining and whatever AI and all that. So when the role is going to change, then how do you know what to do? So if you don't know what to do, then certainly learn that when you need to change, how to change. And that is what we call learnability. So that is a skill I would very, very strongly advocate in addition to 4 or 5 skills, which I already told.
Okay, thank you, sir. And sir, I believe that all your insights have been very helpful for all of us. And I believe that you are not only a mentor for college graduates, but for people all around the world and for all walks of life. So thank you for your insight.
Thank you, Vita. I do it to all my students, whether they were 30 years back, my students, because I've been a teacher for now 38 years. So I can very easily count on my students from 1985, 86 onwards. Not only that I'm helping them, I help their next generation also. And I already taught my students words also from time to time. And therefore, I'm very happy that I'm able to do that. Thank you.
Yes, sir. What do you think needs to be improved in the government universities as compared to private universities?
That's a very tough question. Answer can remain secret, then it would be better. All right. It's not A versus B or government versus private. In everything in our life, both of them have a role to play. All right. So I would not say one is superior over another and vice versa. I have worked in government for 29 years, and last 9 years I have worked in the private sector. Both of them have their beauties and both of them have their duties also. All right. And both of them have led the country by an example. An example of that would be IITs and IIMs have produced top-notch graduates of the country, which have done proud to us. All right. Yet some of the ordinary government institutions don't have enough infrastructure or teachers or well-maintained campus, so students suffer there. In the same fashion, the private organizations or institutions have also done a lot of proud. Today, India's #1 publisher in research happens to be a private sector organization. #1 in providing the IT sector in terms of engineers and all that who go to TCS, Wipro, and all these Cognizant and all that are by huge imagination or large imagination, you can say that they are probably 5 to 10 times what government produces. There was a time that 90% of the rated capacity of engineering was in the private sector compared to the government sector. So what I'm trying to say is both of them have their value. Someone can drive quality, someone can drive quantity, someone can drive ranking, someone can drive rating, someone can drive efficiency, someone can drive speed, another can drive diversity, another one can drive legacy, like that. So both of them have their own place, and that is what it should be. If one of them is not performing well, the other should rise to the occasion and lead the country, and then the other will automatically follow from that model. They should be collaborating with each other. They should not be looking at each other as foes, but they should be more of friends, that wherever they can help each other. That is how it should be, in my opinion, because if you see the rest of the world, some of the top institutions of the world are private. Some of them are government also. So there is no clear demarcation who is good or who is bad. It all depends upon an individual organization or institution or their leaders, that whether they are good or bad, and then you can choose them accordingly. Okay? Is that fine?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sir, do you believe the ideology of students has changed from when you started your career in comparison to now?
Everything has changed, Gurjas, in world, and so would be the ideology of the students also, I would say. They are not necessarily following the standard routes. They are not the standard protocols. They are not necessarily taking standard courses. And they are very, very mature, I would say, in certain cases compared to us. When I entered into engineering college, I hardly knew anything about the world. But the way you are asking me questions, I know that how matured you are. But when I was in my final year of engineering, I could not have asked such questions to my seniors easily. I still remember that when I was in my final year, I had to give a speech in the annual function. It was a very tough time for me. I had butterflies in my tummy. I could hardly, barely manage to deliver my speech. I was ready to jump out of the stage after my speech because I was uncomfortable. But when I see people like you, all of you, you are very young in 9th standard, that you are asking, connecting with the rest of the world in a matured way, asking very testing questions also, and also doing research, as I was told that you know a little bit about me before asking me some of the questions. So these are signs of maturity. So students have changed, the institutions have changed, the society is also changing. A lot of attention is being paid by your parents in giving you different abilities. They will take you to play tennis, they'll take you to learn music, they will take you to other places of museums and other things to teach you about history and geography and whatever other things, which were not in ample numbers, or opportunities were not there for us because either parents didn't have money or they didn't have opportunities, or maybe those facilities didn't exist. So yes, I would say there's Gen Z or whatever you call yourself as any other name is much better than what we were, and it's constantly improving, it's changing fast. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, simulation is necessary nowadays. Do you think the education policy should also change so the students of different categories learn at least basic of each sector? Like example, students should be taught how to fly a plane without becoming a pilot in case of emergency.
Fine, I understand what you are meaning there. Your first question is simulation. Let me try to answer that. The second question, Dheer, I have partly answered already in my other question. Simulation is an important tool. Why? Because it allows you to explore much broader dimensions of a given subject without doing too much of damage to natural things. For example, if you want to be a doctor, you will possibly need corpuses or some bodies on which you can do the your dissections and other things and learn about the body parts, where they are placed, how they are placed, what is right, wrong, and various things. But those may not be available because number of medical colleges and students are going up. People may not be ready to donate the bodies which are there. And therefore, how do you do? And even if it is there, one body may not teach you, one dead body may not teach you every aspect, and not to every student also. So how do you do it? So you create the dummies, the mannequins, and they can simulate all sorts of conditions in their body through software. Now, this may be a tough example which I gave you, but it's a slightly latest example. A more easy example is what I'll give you is what you said yourself, that if I have to learn flying aircraft, by being in the aircraft, I will possibly make a lot of crashes and a lot of damages, and a lot of pilots will be lost who are trying to teach me, because I may make a small mistake and suddenly fall down or crash. Most of the flying happens through the flight simulators. You know that. Many of you might have seen it. Okay, and extensive time has to be given. Even if you are a wing commander, you have put 20 years of service in, let's say, Air Force, you need to go under the simulation tools to understand how to fly a new aircraft, how to fly this. You need to spend a lot of hours. And therefore, I've given you two critical examples, one playing with life, another flying. In both cases, you cannot do without simulations. Now, simulations can be very handy. Imagine your mom and dad forcing you, though, let's go buy clothes and let's do shopping, and you're not happy. You want to play games at home, and they are dragging you, and you go out for 4 or 5 hours, and you sit in one corner and they are doing shopping for you, and all that happens sometimes. If you have the simulation, they go to the shop and there are tools available. And once they shortlist certain things for you, they can bring either you can be brought electronically and they can see the fitment, shape, size, color, whatever thing, or you can come also online like what you have done and do something and still see whether that is likable by you or not. So simulation gives you extreme cases of your working to be done more easily. I give you the last example. I do not know how many of you are from science. Can you raise your hands? How many of you are from science background? In case you are, have you done some physics kind of a lab? Yes. So just wanted you to raise the hand. So if you've done the physics lab, that's fine. You apply some voltage and current, let's say in some circuit or some device or something else. or maybe you apply voltage and current to your radio also, or to your laptop also, whatever it is. Can you apply every voltage starting from 0 to 230 to 440 to anything, whatever that number may be? No. Can you supply any amount of current? 1 ampere, 2 ampere, 10 ampere, 100 ampere? You cannot, because batteries have the limitation. Can you apply any frequency at which you want the device to operate, like gigahertz or terahertz or whatever, megahertz or whatever? You cannot, because the source will have the limitation. But in simulation, you can do these things very easily. All right. So some of the fundamentals you can do by model. That there is a model given to me, I plug in something and I take out something, I learn about that particular system. Second, I can do system design, simulate make the system and perform on that and do the experimentation and learn. And the third and final thing can be, I can do the simulation of the same thing, and then I can study everything about it very, very extensively. So simulation gives you an additional degree of power to learn some issues if they are there. So that was the first part which you're asking me. The second part you're asking me, everyone should know how to fly. Now, but I do not know if you might be eating fruits, pretty sure. You might be eating vegetables. You probably know that you would not like an odd fruit. You will also not like an odd vegetable. Sometimes when that is cooked in your home, you say, no, I don't want to eat that, and I want something to be ordered here, there. You do that, isn't it? In the same way, I cannot force that everyone like Dheer and Alia and Kirtana, everyone should learn flying. I cannot. And therefore, those who want to learn should learn. And that is a flexibility NEP gives. That is a flexibility ABC gives, Academic Bank of Credit gives. That is a flexibility you have, that rather than you do your BA in 3 years, you can do it in 4 years. If you're not happy, you can do it in 5 years. While enrolling for BA, you can still go to industry and do something and then come back and complete your degree. If you are an environmentalist, you can do a coastal walking for 1 year, 6 months, and learn about the marine life and coastal life and enjoy environment and learn about that, and again come back and do your studies. So it all depends upon what is your interest. You may do extra in flying. Kirtana may do more in environmental. Gurjas possibly can do something in cooking. Maybe some Punjabi food, maybe much more expertise can be there for that. Someone can do more on weaving or drawing or painting. Someone can do more on music and sports. So the new education policy gives you choice. So the short answer to your question is, one size fits all will never be an answer. We are never alike. Between two brothers also, we are not alike. Even if you are two brothers or two sisters who are born twins, you may still have differential in your habits or likings and performance and all that. And therefore, we respect that. We will not force anyone to do compulsorily for everything. And that is the reason why your curriculum differs. You go to one institution, it is X, another one, it is Y, third one, it is X dash, fourth is Z, and the fifth one is Z dash, something like that. And so diversity should be there in teaching, learning, and that's what we will practice in times to come. Okay, Dheer? Yes. Let's have something more.
Yes, sir. Kirtana, you can continue. Okay,
Yes. Sir, the next question for you is that, sir, having seen at least 3 generations before you, how are you going to differentiate teens of your generation with the present teens? If one thing you want to see a positive change in them, what it would be?
That's a tough one, Aditya. I didn't know that you'll be asking me such questions. But anyway, I would say that every generation makes those changes. For example, we as teens lived in bigger families. You as teens live in smaller families. We lived more of a public life when we were young. you lead more of a private life when you are young. You have your own home, your own table, your own drawer, your own everything, whatever you can say. We never had that. For example, when I was 10 years old, once in a week, we'll get one magazine. And we were something like 8, 10 cousins or other uncles and others living in the same family. And I would hardly get any chance to read that magazine a week after it comes to my home, because some seniors will take a call and all that. So those things were very different, but we were very playful. We'll always play games, the so-called Indian games, the gulli danda, the kancha, the marble balls, the satolias, and so many such other things which were there, which probably your generation has completely lost. You play more of the international games, whereas we used to play Indian games. We used to have a lot of excitement to see when we go for movie, but you see movies almost every day if you so wish. We would get once in a lifetime or once in 2 or 1 month to get to eat outside. You can possibly do it every day or every day couple of times. So those are the changes, but they have gradually happened. All right. What I want to do, what I would suggest to do is, today your life is driven by many unnatural things also, which are like technology. Technology is important, but it is becoming too heavy in our lives. It should not be so heavy, at least at the school level, in my opinion. These kind of things are the changes which have happened. If somehow we can reverse that, it would be that we nurture your nascent skills, your choices, your own self. If you're good in drawing, I'll let you draw and do your majors in drawing and become an artist and become like M.F. Hussain. M.F. Hussain never got educated, I believe. He was just a poster painter for films, and suddenly he became multi-millionaire, sought after in the world, and every painting will go in crores. All right. That's when you nurture skills like that. Did Sachin Tendulkar do too much of higher studies? At 16, he was already in the Indian team or something like that, isn't it? And therefore, when you nurture your natural skills, there is a chances that you'll succeed and you'll do very well. Right now, you people, the current generation, the younger generation, are under too much pressure of doing everything similarly. Everything of you, every one of you want to be in the same stream, do same thing. That should go away, in my opinion. So these are some of the changes, my dear, which are happening in this world. I'm not necessarily saying that everything is bad. There are many good things. You can do multitasking much better. You will not do unwanted work now, because there is an environmental consciousness which is coming. When I was a young kid, I used to live in a city. We used to get water in once in 2 or 3 days. And every time the water would come to our pipeline, we'll all be focused on that, forget about anything called school or education or fun. Even if we were in a marriage procession and someone tells that water has come, we'll go back to our home, leave the procession and fill the water tanks in our home. Those were the challenges we faced. Electricity was not there. We never heard of what you call computer. We never saw a TV. We used to only learn from radio certain things. Listening to commentary was important for us to learn about the world events which were there. I still remember when India was playing the first World Cup final in 1975 of hockey. I was glued to my radio, which I had learned only that time to how to tune a radio. And that was, I felt so happy that today I have learned after 13, 14 years, 12 years, I learned to tune the radio and I was feeling very happy about it. But today, no one will give any damn to it. If I say that I know how to tune a radio, people will laugh at me, because radio is automatically tuned. You just press one button, double arrow, and radio will go to the next station, isn't it? So the world has changed a lot, but partly unnatural is what I would say. And you probably miss a lot of human to human, friend to friend, cousin to cousin kind of a company, which we enjoyed thoroughly. Our relationship building with our cousins, our friends, our neighborhood was too strong compared to what you get. So world is not equal. We lost on certain counts, but we gained on certain counts. I think the same is true now, that you're losing on certain counts, but you are also gaining on certain counts. Okay,
Okay, thank you, sir.
welcome.
Sir, would you like to share any concluding statements for our teen audience?
Okay, concluding statement is what you want from me. Conclusion would be, life is always unpredictable, can be a roller coaster. Nothing can be definite or certain. I'm not discouraging you. I'm just saying that you should take things in your stride. Like seasons change, like your mind changes on a given day, like your health changes, all of a sudden you fall ill and all of a sudden you feel very energetic. Changes will come in your life. Life is full of what we call transients. Nothing is permanent. Transient is which keeps changing with time. Nothing is permanent. And therefore, you should strive to prepare yourself that you can survive in those transients. You can minimize the transients, you can try, but there is nothing called permanent. If you become prime minister, can you remain prime minister permanently? If you grow in this age that your height will increase, your weight will increase, something will happen. Do you think if you go to 30, you should increase? When you go to 40, further increase, 50, further increase, then you will not be in, you cannot walk inside your house because your door will be very, very short or whatever. So nothing in life is linear. Everything is non-linear. By non-linearity, I mean everything saturates after a certain time. Your growth will saturate. Development of your mind will saturate. Your memory will come to a level. Various other things will saturate. And therefore, in a non-linear world, you should try to live life. Don't expect everything to be good. Good cannot exist without bad. White cannot exist without black. Right cannot exist without wrong. Similarly, signal cannot exist without noise. What I speak, if you like, it's signal for you. But if you don't like, it will be noise. You understand what I'm saying? I'm saying this because I'm an electronics engineer. So I know that signal cannot be generated without noise. So noise is must to generate a signal in any electronic device. So please understand that every side will coexist. The only effort you have to try is minimize the negative side, maximize the positive side. Live as humans means that help all the living beings, minimize the loss of life, minimize the loss or hurt anyone for any reason, and make sure that you plan well for what you want to do. So my mantra, which I like to give you in the end, is proper planning prevents, okay, or preempts, whatever you can say. Proper planning prevents or preempts poor performance. These are all P's which I have used. 5 P's. There can be many 5 P's: perseverance, perfection, and various things. I'm not talking about that. I'm giving a very, very simple statement. Proper planning prevents poor performance. All right. Whatever you do in your life, plan it to some extent. It cannot be perfect, I agree, but plan it to an extent and then execute it properly, and then you'll be happy about it. That's my mantra for all of you. I hope you will be able to follow, or some of the listeners who are going to see are going to follow this, and that will make you a happy and well-recognized citizen, in my opinion. Is that fine, Dheer?
Thank you so much for your kind and encouraging words. It was a pleasure and honor to interact with a dynamic educator like you. On behalf of all the teen members of Parliament, Aditya Nayak, Alia Shamir, Gurjar Singh Chadda, And Kirtana Vasudevan and I, Dheer Mehta, we would like to thank you for sparing your precious time and sharing your knowledge with us. Thank you so much, sir.
Great, Dheer. Thank you so much. You've been perfect in whatever you have done, maintaining all the protocols also. Appreciate it. I wish I were like you when I was in 9th or 10th standard. I would have done wonders in my later life. But anyway, no two things are equal. So would be the case even today. But let's meet up again whenever we need each other. I don't know. Some of you might be doctors, and when I need help, you may help me later. Or when you come to education in higher education institution, we may meet again if I'm serving, and I'll try to help you. So with this promise, let's say thank you to each other. Let's say bye, and let's say that we'll do good to the world we live in. Okay. Thanks to Dakshji also in Love World, Divya and everyone for connecting me and also inviting me. Thank you.